Are you bored to see the same stuff getting built again and again? Tanks, cars, bikes, figures. Do you wanna see a challenging and obscure kit getting built? Search no more, because I've got you covered. Hello fellow modelers and styling fanatics, welcome back to my channel. I hope that everyone is doing fine and enjoys the hobby. Concrete Bunker is back with another one of its notorious episodes. On today's episode, we continue our work on our Stug 10.5 project from Dragon in 1 to 35th scale and kit number 9058. Although on this episode I don't do anything at all at the Stug, I am building a complementary kit that it is going to be onto the same scene as the Stug. This complementary kit is none other than the farmer's cart from Master Box, and kit number, let me remember because I forget, MB3537. And on this episode you're gonna see me putting it together. It was a challenging build, mainly because instructions were a bit obscure and I couldn't, get them the way they were meant to be, to read them the way they meant to be written. I was also eager to film, so I made some mistakes. Luckily I was able to fix everything off camera, of course, and have a pretty solid outcome. So on this episode you're gonna see the main assembly of this kit, and I am gonna do a separate episode where I paint and weather this thing. Now I don't wanna bore you guys anymore. You guys already know the drill. Grab a seat, crack the mandatory cold one, and let's see what me and Past George have in stock for this episode. Morning guys, welcome back to part 6 of our Stug 10.5 project, and we are continuing on with our build. As you can see, I have the Stug in front of us, and now I am going to move aside because despite this is an update for the Stug, we are going to work on something totally completely different. Probably the title that says about the Stug, it is a clickbait. So on today's episode we are going to work onto the farmer's cart. Why we are going to do that, you may ask? Because as I've said in my previous episode, this is going to be a complementary kit for the Stug diorama, and I need to build it so I can have a slight idea of size of the cart, size of the Stug, which I already know. So I can create a base, so I can calculate stuff. Probably for the next 2 episodes we're gonna work onto this one. We're gonna build it, paint it, try to weather it, to depict wood grain and all the happy weathering that the farmer's cart of that era and of modern era can have. So without further ado, let's start with this one. This is gonna be the protagonist of this episode. Oh boy, we have the first parts cleaned up, guys, for the cart, of course, and I can already tell you that this thing needs a lot of cleanup, and when I say a lot, I really mean a lot. There is seam lines everywhere, in its corner, in its surface that I needed to remove. Knobs on its piece needed to I needed to shorten them because they were long enough, and whenever there is a corresponding hole, it needed me to enlarge it. Sorry guys, words are difficult today. So I have the first parts ready. This one is not yet I'm not gonna place this one yet. I just have it over here because I needed to test fit some parts. So assembly is quite complicated, so I am going to proceed it slowly. So let's start. We have the planks over here that are going to be the floor, the bed of our cart. By the way, guys, if you have these kinds of glues and they are clogged, just grab a lighter and do this. Instantly unclogs it, instantly burns the glue that's trapped onto the needle tip, so it is ready to go. Okay, needs a little bit more. Should be good now. See? Told you so. So, doesn't matter which side you pick, it is the same. On one side I'm gonna glue this, and on the other side we're gonna grab this part and we are going to glue it like so. Keep in mind, guys, we have to have this protrusion looking towards us. Now that we have this one in place, we grab this piece, which is part of our steering mechanism, if we can call it a steering mechanism. It is a crude steering mechanism, to be honest with you. So there's a hole. This one is the side that needs to look the part, and this one needs to look towards us. This knob has to look on the outer the outer side of the vehicle. Hope it made sense. Of course, I'm not gonna apply glue over here, and of course my glue hasn't set yet, because I am doing things on the fly. For video purposes, you know, guys that do video builds like me are going to understand. And now we need to grab another piece, our quote-unquote final piece for this time. So on one side it has two knobs, on the other side is sanded flat because it had the seam line. So those two knobs correspond at those two holes over here, one and the other one. So I'm gonna apply my glue sparingly, because I will need to retain movement onto our our crude steering mechanism, and this is what you are supposed to be looking at. I know I am kinda sloppy right now, but I am kinda sloppy, of course, for video purposes, but let me take care of it, and believe me, when I am going to return for the next parts, things should be perfectly in place. Okay guys, stop hiding and tell me the truth. I know that you had misbelief that I'm gonna make it in one piece and straight, but here it is, ha ha ha. And I also retained movement. So before I proceed, another thing that I forgot to point out in the previous assembly is about one part, and this is that part that goes on top of the crude steering mechanism. Okay, this part from one side is flat, as you can see, flat. You know, it has these two wood beams sandwiched together, but from the other side, as you can see, probably over here and here, it has two holes. These holes need to look at the inside of our card, and I am gonna explain the reason why right now. So these two holes correspond with this subassembly that I am going to do. For this subassembly we are going to need these 4 parts. I am going to try to retain movement as well over here. So we have this axle, I'm gonna call it. As you can see, this is the corner that we are going to use right now. As you can see, it is its shape. I cannot describe it in English. So this, we flip it like so, and we need to feed it through that hole over there, right here. So now we need to take this thing out, leave it aside for a while, and grab this thing. So this will look at the bottom, at the ground, and this will look at the bottom of the vehicle. Now we need to grab this one and glue it in place exactly over here. Damn it, it is so difficult for me to explain you what exactly I am doing in English. I could easily explain in Greek, but not in English. You know, not work and explain at the same time. I need to practice my English even more to do that. So as you can see, we have glued this thing in place. Now we need to feed it from the exact opposite direction, like so. And we also need to glue this thing in place over here, if I am not mistaken, and this is going to go over here like so. I do wanna believe this is gonna go here. No, it's not gonna work like this. So probably it's going to work I'm doing all the test fitting in front of the camera right now because I was kinda eager to get this filmed. Okay, this is supposed to go like that, like so, and this one is supposed to go here, like so. Okay, this is starting to make sense, so let's do that. Okay, now you guys are going to ask me why I didn't test fitted the parts of camera. As I've said, I am eager to start filming, because right now I have that I wanna film expression. So I am exploiting the opportunity, and it is also late at night, so I don't have so much time to do stuff. I'm doing stuff on the fly. And now this thing is supposed to go over here. Together with that stuff. Find the hole. Okay. No. Okay. And I think that we have a winner. So once again, this is crudely what we are supposed to look at, probably, yeah. Okay, I think I ridiculed myself enough in this video. I think that it happened twice. Looks like I cannot put a farmer's cart together. I can put a tank together, I can put an aircraft together, a truck, a car, but maybe farmer's cart is my my bane, the bane of my existence. Anyway, I have made a mistake in the previous part of the video, of course, another mistake, and I have put this upside down, so now I popped it off its place and glued it like this, the right way, I mean, with this detail looking at the ground. So to finish the first step of the instructions, the so-called instructions, it labels that you need to attach these 10 pieces of iron stripes and bolts that hold the wooden beams together. So it's 6 over here. I have glued them in place, and we're gonna glue another 4 on this side, of course, and I did 6 off camera because I don't want to bore you guys, and we're gonna do the 4 rest on in front of the camera, just for me to make my video longer and maybe help you forget my 2 mistakes, my previous 2 mistakes. Anyway, this thing is on video now. Probably it's going on YouTube, and this is going to remain there for an eternity, reminding me my mistakes on this card. So 1 down, 3 to go. I know that these parts need a little bit of more cleanup, but I am going to glue them in place and then clean them up, because I don't want to mess with such tiny pieces on my bench. I don't want to lose them, although I know a trick to avoid losing parts, but I haven't done it yet. One of these days I'm gonna attach something onto my bench to help me catch flying stuff, to help me starve the carpet monster. It is a little hack, but I am going to film it another day, not now. Promises. So these parts are ready to go, and these are the bolts that hold this iron square, which helps these two beams sandwich together. So apart from the wooden surfaces, we have to paint iron as well. And with this, all this done, this concludes our first part of the instructions, which is this one. So a quick recap. The only thing that messed with my mind is this axle over here. As you can see, the instructions are quite vague, or at least I cannot understand them, because as you already seen, I needed to fit this axle between this sub-assembly, this one, and this one, which is none other than this part. Hopefully I got it right. Hopefully. Anyway, I retained movement, as you can see on the steering axle, so I am quite happy with that, since we have movement and everything feels like it's in place. This is part 2 of the instructions, if you can split them in parts. So this is the second step. I have I have split it in 4 steps, to be honest with you, so we can have some coherency when we assemble stuff, even though I ridiculed myself in the previous 2 clips. Anyway, let's try to make it up. Here is the second part, and here is what I have spotted. This part, which is A3, which is this little thingy over here, needs to go over here in the front, where the steering mechanism is located. So we need to place these parts like this, and it states that you need to place it over here like this, which, to be honest with you guys, I don't see happening, because it has no good connection points. There is no reason for it to be at such height from the wagon, from the rest of the cart, and there is no reason for it to exist, to be honest with you. Another thing that made me sure that there is no reason for it to exist is this thing, the ready-made wagon that the kit's box has in the rear. You can clearly see that this part that I have shown you, there is nowhere to be found. I think that this is supposed to be the place where the farmer sits while his animals are while he is driving his cart, but he can clearly sit here with no problem. So I am going to skip this. I am not going to fit this thing in place. So this one goes straight to the box, straight back to the box. Now, what I am going to fit, I am going, as I've said, to attach these 2 ladder thingies. I am going to make them, sit as flat as possible with the rest of the wagon, and I am going to apply glue. The keen-eyed ones amongst you will see that the wagon is sitting on an angle. What I mean is that this side sits higher than this side, but we are gonna fix this. This is supposed to be happening. Now we need to grab the road wheels of the wagon, so the bigger ones go to the rear. And when I say the rear, I am talking about the place that has no steering, I am talking about the place without the steering mechanism. Oh my god. In this episode I cannot speak English at all. Like every episode, to be honest, but anyway. Let's pretend that this doesn't happen in every episode. This is going to be our little secret. Of course, and I'm not gonna fit the wheels all the way in. I'm not gonna press fit them all the way in. And of course, I am going to do the fine tuning off camera as every time. And the smaller wheels go to the front, where the steering mechanism is located. And I know that I have used the description of steering mechanism a lot, but I have nothing else I have no other word to describe this thing in the front. Let's give the wheels their normal camber, not a negative, not a positive one, since this is not a drift vehicle. Car guys will understand what I'm trying to say over here. Okay, so now that we have this one done, let's move on to our last assembly. Our last assembly, of course, will be none other than the place, than the whole this thing. This is where the farmers tied their animals, either it were horses or cows. So now we are gonna fix this assembly, this sub-assembly, and attach it in place. Well, I am back for the final pieces of our card, final in my case of scenario, and let me explain why. So onto the instructions they portray that you can add this, and the ropes that the animals are tied with, so they can drag the cart. Since I have no animals, and since I am going to leave the cart parked in a spot next to the shed or into the shed, I have no idea yet, I won't need this. This would be also used though, because next to where this cart is going to be parked, they gonna adorn the walls as an extra. You're gonna understand when I will do that. So for the time being, the ropes and these things, these wooden accessories, I'm gonna call them, they're gonna be left aside. So our last thing is this, our last part is this. Now what you need to do to attach it in place? You see it has two holes over here that correspond with this one. But before I attach this to that part, we need to take care of two hooks. Those two hooks are there for the rest of the assembly that I'm gonna left aside to be attached onto. So let me grab a pair of tweezers, which at the time being I don't know where they are. God, my workbench is a mess. Anyway, one down, another one to go, and one for the other side. And now we attach this one over here, like so. Now this whole assembly will need to go here. But I will need to sand it a little bit to remove a little bit of material from here, because as you can see, it doesn't want to fall in place. Oh, okay, it fell in place. All right. Oh my God. Give me a moment, guys. Sorry, that was my cat. My bench cat. The usual suspect. Most demands company. There we have it. So this is it. This is our assembly of our farmer's cart. Let me pick it up so you can have a better look. You can see that I have retained movement over here, so we can pose it as we wish. I'm probably gonna pose it like this, because it looks better. So now that I have this ready, I can calculate the size of the diorama that I need. Now I know that this episode may not be so interesting for you guys, because this is not a plane, this is not a tank, this is not a car, it is something complementary. I hope that you enjoyed. I am going to stop recording right now, even though that I don't have done so much progress, but I want to separate this video from the rest of it. I want to separate the cart constructions from the rest of it. So this is going to be the cart construction video, and I'm gonna do another one for the paint and the weathering of this thing, because of reasons. Anyway, with all that said and done, we have made it to the end of this episode. On our next episode, as I've said 5 seconds ago, we will probably start painting and weathering the cart. I hope that you guys found this video helpful and interesting, and stick along for the next one. Before I go, I want to thank each and every one of you guys that watched this video. A special thank you to my old and new subscribers. You guys are the best, and you are the reason I keep doing these videos. For the newcomers out there that encounter one of my videos for the first time, welcome guys. I hope that you like what I do. If so, you all know what to do. Leave a like, comment with your thoughts and opinions, share the video if you believe it deserves to be shared, or even consider subscribing for more builds to come your way. Until the next time, fellow modelers and friends, take care and model on. It was that Mofo Daemon, signing out.